I said, I've had a fantastic time. This was better than my night out. Like,
Yeah. Oh, hey, welcome to Kind. I am so glad you're here. I'm Holly, and I'll be chatting to guests about the times people were kind to them and how that changed things for the better. This episode, you'll hear how being called a brat was actually the kindest thing to happen. By the way, I believe in you. Right, let's drop you straight in. My guest today is author, activist, and entrepreneur, Kenny Ethan Jones. Welcome.
yes. Good to be here. It's nice to see you.
Lovely to see you. So to start off with, I wanted to ask, what do you think it means to be kind? What does that mean to you?
Oh, big question. Good question. I've been talking to my therapist about this recently, actually, funny enough, like literally last week.
Yeah.
Because I guess my definition of kindness is shifting. I think when I grew up, I seen kindness equated to niceness. And I think over time, I'm realizing that some people try to take the piss and that you can't always greet people and meet people there. And so actually, I guess like how I see kindness now is more about being generous and being considerate rather than being nice, so to speak.
Yeah.
But before, when I was younger, it was definitely like do the right thing regardless of how anybody else treated you. And I think I'm learning to understand it needs to be mutually met. And so, yeah, it's kind of shifted to that now.
I completely agree that I feel like sometimes it is conflated with niceness, or I don't know, like almost being a bit of a doormat. And it's like, I don't think it is that. I don't think that, like, if that someone's trying to, take the piss, then the kind thing to do for everyone in the situation is to put the boundary there.
Yeah.
So yeah, completely agree. And what's an everyday kind act, like, dropping you a message to check in or like holding a door that means a lot to you? Is there something that you're particularly like, oh, I love it when people do that?
Oh, that's a big one. I think the ones that stand out to me is when people are gender affirming, but in a way that's really unique and they don't really realize. So for instance, my younger sister, I launched my book and I had a party, right, at home. And she turned around and she was like giving a little speech to say how proud of me she was. And in this speech, she turns around and she was like, "You're my favorite brother. And you didn't even start off as one." And I found that so funny. And it was like, she wasn't really even thinking about it and what it would mean to me. But things like that, when people are really affirmative of my transition and respectful and don't really, it's just so natural to them.
Yeah.
I think that those things are really, they stand out to me because it's like, they're very far and few in between, but they stick once you receive it.
So when a guest comes on the show, I ask them to have a think about 3 times people have done something kind for them. And this was the first thing that Kenny wanted to share. So
I recently had my eggs harvested for my sister and it was a wonderful journey, but very trying. And I was really worried in this procedure that it was going to trigger my gender dysphoria. And, I'm so far removed from that version of myself. But obviously, when you go into like invasive medical procedures, that's always a possibility. And so I remember going to my GP and discussing it and being like, okay, like, what's the next steps? And they're like, I feel like in that process, they kind of drip information to you until you get further along into it. So anyways, it came to the point where, you're sat down with the doctor and you're talking about your medical plan. You're talking about the medications that you're going to take, how many days it's going to last, like all of that. You're asking all your questions. And this doctor, I turned around and I said to her, like, have you had any trans patients in the past? Because I was just wondering if there's any kind of like different protocols that they put in place. So she says, yeah, like essentially she specializes within fertility for trans men specifically. And I was like, oh, that's really wonderful. So like, I've got the best doctor for me. Do you know what I mean? This is fantastic. Anyways, without having a discussion about like my gender dysphoria or my experience of it, she automatically referred that I take this medication called letrozole. And letrozole is essentially a medication that during the process of harvesting and collecting your eggs, it keeps your estrogen levels low. And so because she had read over my file and seen that I suffered with gender dysphoria, and it was because of like estrogen, she automatically said that this is the medication that I should be taking. And for the fact that I had never met her, I had never had a conversation with her about my experience with gender dysphoria, and she automatically thought like, this is going to be, she's gone through it. She's actively taken a moment to go through it and my records and be like, this is something that he might struggle with and make a decision that was going to benefit me. Like, I think that as well as the fact that in my life and my transition, you don't always come across good people in the medical field, and it can be really difficult. And so when you meet somebody that's actively taking a step to help you and support you, it just felt really special. And I remember I documented the whole thing on TikTok, and in the video that I talked about, I got really upset. Even now I feel teary because you feel so seen and so taken care of, and that's how everyone should feel in the medical space. And so, yeah, it just really stood out to me because she didn't need to think of that, but she did. So it was really wonderful.
Yeah. And so in that moment when you realise that, that she's already done the reading, she's taken the time to, review your notes rather than, which is not necessarily a criticism, but in a lot of medical settings, you have to give your whole medical history at the start, every single consultation. Yeah. So what were you feeling in that moment when you're like, oh, wow, she's done like a lot of work?
I guess at first, predominantly the feeling walking into the room is I was scared. Yeah. Because I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know how this process was going to make me feel. And so I'm already like very anxious walking into this space. And so when a doctor just kind of sits there and she's telling you, I've thought about you, I've thought about what the best medical case is going to be. And we're having conversations about, because you can do internal scans or external scans. And she's like, is there one that you would prefer? Because we can do the external one if the internal ones are going to be triggering. So she's already really thinking ahead. And I just sat there and I just thought, wow, like this is an active ally. Because she's actively like gone and done the research on how, because the difference is I feel like with doctors specifically, like they look at you, maybe not always, but my perception is they look at you from a perspective of like, what body parts do you have and how can we help? She looked at me and said, here is his body parts, but also emotionally, what might he experience during this procedure? And so I think that took it to another layer of depth. Like she actually had to consider me in that. And so, yeah, I just felt very grateful. I felt seen. I trusted her instantly, to be honest. Like she was my favorite person. And yeah, throughout the process, she just shined even brighter in how she supported me. And yeah, I just felt really taken care of. And in a procedure that you feel anxious and you're not sure what's going to happen, you want that kind of experience. So yeah, I was so grateful, still am.
Yeah. And it's amazing because you were doing that for your sister harvesting your eggs. And that's, I obviously saw you do that and thought, that's an incredibly kind thing to do. Like that you instantly were like, have mine. Yeah. So for it to be kind of reciprocated in the process is a really gorgeous thing to hear.
Yeah, you're so right. I didn't even think of it like that, but you're so right. I guess it's like, I offered a kindness. And that kindness was extended back to me, I guess. Yeah. So, no, you're totally right. I didn't even think about that.
That's amazing. Yeah. Did you tell the doctor like how much it meant that she'd done that?
Yeah, we had a conversation afterwards where it was kind of like recapping where we were getting to the point where the collection was going to happen. So they're doing all the scans and everything. And we're getting to the point where they're saying, okay, you're going to start taking the trigger medication and you're going to have the procedure tomorrow. And I remember just being sat there and just looking at her and like just staring at her and just thinking, I'm so grateful that I got this doctor specifically. And I did say to her at the end, I said, I'm really grateful that like it's you, know. And she was just like, no, as she said, I've learned so much from you just in the conversations that we've had. And then I just the activist in me was like, well, if you need to use my results as anything to do with medical studies, like let me know. We left things on a good note. But I do think maybe I should follow up with an email because she really did stand out to me. So but I did. I always think it's important when somebody offers kindness that you make it clear and express how you feel, because I think that they're more inclined to do it to somebody else. Yeah,
because they understand that act meant something to someone. I think it's very easy to go through parts of your life and you're like, I did something, hopefully it was okay for that person. I don't really know.
Yeah. You need feedback.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So to someone to say like, that meant a lot to me, then you're like, oh, great. And also then you're like, oh, and it was worth it. Whatever I did was, Yeah.
That little bit of time that she put in to, do the research and, it just goes, I think you should tell people that it's good.
Yeah. So the question is, what's the time that someone did something kind for you? It can be big, small, ages ago, recent, whatever comes to mind.
Just be nice. Someone that's given you a bit of time and spoke to you.
Yeah?
Yeah, quite recently as well. Yeah.
What sort of things did you talk about?
What, I can't really remember, but it was nice. Yeah.
So just when people come and have a chat, that means a lot.
Yeah, of course it does, yeah. Just like you have.
How is your day going?
Very good, thank you.
Can you tell me another moment of kindness that had an impact on you?
Okay. This one, I was very young. I was probably, let's say like 18. And I'd gone out with my friends on a night out, as you do, 18 years old. And I don't know how this happened, but anyways, I left the club and I had lost my wallet and my phone was dead. That's like the worst possible situation to be in on a night out, do you know what I mean? So my friends have all gone home. I'm in the middle of nowhere, kind of know where I am. I'm just like, right, I'm basically stranded. The only way that I knew how to get home was to walk home. And to be honest, it probably would have been like an hour and a half walk. Oof. So all my head is thinking about is, this is a joke.
Yeah.
I hate it here. I don't want to do this. So I just said, well, I don't really have an option. I'm just going to have to start walking, right? So anyways, I start walking and I think I was visibly upset at this point because I just felt a bit lost. My night out wasn't the greatest. Anyways, this man came up to me and he turned around and he looked at me and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, like something along the lines of, "I've had better days." And he turns around and he said, like, "What's happened?" And I said, "Oh, my phone's dead and I've lost my wallet. I don't really know where I am. I don't know how to get home." And he was like, he was from the area. So he was like, "Oh, I know there's a bus stop, like not too far away. How about I walk you there?" He was a Jewish man. And I'd never come across and had an intimate conversation with someone who was Jewish. And so we had so much conversation about like religion and what's the meaning of life. And just like, I just felt so like indulged into a whole different perspective that I'd never really experienced. And he was just, I'm a very curious person. So I would just ask question after question and bless him. He's just responding and responded. And so, yeah, he was really kind. And anyways, we get down there and we get down to the bus stop and the bus was on diversion. So the bus wasn't even coming. And I remember getting to the bus stop and just thinking, oh my God, we've already walked for half an hour at this point, 20 minutes, whatever it was. Just thinking, I'm just going to have to walk the whole way home. Anyways, he turned around and he said to me, "Oh, like, you know, like, follow me." And I said, "What?" He's like, "Well, follow me." Basically about 5 minutes away from his home. He turned around, we got to his house and he ordered me a cab home. And he was just like, "I hope you get home safe. I hope like you've learned something from me." And I said, "I've had a fantastic time. This was better than my night out. Like, I love this conversation." And yeah, it was just, you know, he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to ask me if I was okay. He could have kept on walking. He didn't have to walk me to the bus stop. But equally, when we got to the bus stop, he didn't have to decide that he was going to order me a cab home. And so there were so many moments in that experience with him where he could have turned around and said, "My kindness is going to stop here." But it didn't. He continued. And I would hope that, I guess he saw something in me that felt like I deserved his kindness. And that's why he gave it to me. And yeah, not this big, I guess, like example of kindness, so to speak, but it's just like this. It's usually the small things that stick with you.
And it's massive. That stayed with you over 10 years. Like,
I know. I still think about him. Like, he's just, I hope I bump into him one day and we even remember each other. But he was this really, really wonderful man, very insightful. I think he might have been a rabbi. He just kind of blew my mind with the way that he spoke about things. And I was kind of lost with religion at that point in time in my life as well. And I was experiencing a lot of gender dysphoria and finding myself. I was just in a really difficult place in life. And I think sometimes with religion, I don't know, there's something in it that really speaks to like this deep knowing within you that things are true. So I guess like him saying something along the lines of, you know, you have to trust in yourself that you'll find your way. And you sit there and you go, you don't know what that is, but you kind of feel it inside of you. You get what he's trying to say. And so it was just things that I think I needed to have that conversation with him.
Yeah.
Not even needed to get home. I obviously needed to get home. But I think I was meant to meet him to have that conversation that allowed me to feel better about life, actually.
Yeah. Did anything change for you after the conversation in terms of like, your spiritual or religious path? Like, do you think it was a trigger for anything?
Yeah, I think it was very enlightening in the fact that I went to an all-girls school, Catholic all-girls school, and I was basically kicked out of that school. And the notion in that school about me being transgender was that I was basically possessed by the devil. right? And so really didn't have a good relationship with religion, but, wanted to believe in something bigger than myself. And so ultimately I didn't know what that was going to look like. And then I had this conversation with this man, and I don't know, it just made me believe that. And I told him I was trans as well. I don't know why I told him so much about me, but obviously I trusted him, and he didn't judge me in that at all. And so it just made me think, okay, there are people that are religious in, other realms of life and don't necessarily see me as being trans as a bad thing and just see me as God's child. And so, I don't know, it made me think that I wasn't really interested at that time because I was really young, but I was always kind of convinced at that point that there might be a religion out there outside of Christianity that actually might suit me. And ever since then, I've potted around in different religions, and I feel like I'm not ready to commit to one, but I find all of them very interesting in different perspectives. And the way of their teachings and things like that, I find very interesting. And, there's a commonality between all of them that I really love. And so, I think he just kind of opened the door for me to have more of a positive relationship with religion.
Which is incredible.
I know. It's wild to think that a singular conversation and he probably didn't even know the impact that conversation was going to have on me. And so, I even went to church last Sunday, so here we are. So it's obviously still going. But I was really grateful for him and his existence and the time that he took to educate me, because he could have just told me to bug off.
But to go back to the start of that encounter, it's late at night, you've had a shit night, what do you feel like when someone first approaches you? Because that's, you never quite know why someone's approaching you, right?
I think it was a very predominant Jewish area. And I don't know, I guess he was just out and about. I don't think I was thinking about why he was approaching me. I think it was I looked visibly sad.
Right.
And I think if I had seen somebody, and when I have seen somebody visibly sad, I'd probably ask the same question. Because I would hate it if I didn't ask that person that question and something bad happens to them. And so maybe it's to do with the way that he sees life. And because there's some people that will see someone be sad. Unfortunately, in London, I think specifically, you see it a lot. Someone could be crying on a street corner, you'll see 100 people walk past that person. And there's obviously something in him that decided, actually, I'm just gonna double check. So I didn't feel any malice in his approach. He was very gentle. Big guy though, remember, he must have I'm 5'5", he must have been 6 foot. So he felt like a giant to me. But I don't know, something about his presence felt, I guess, calming. And I guess I had already picked up on his energy. I know that sounds really weird, but I guess sometimes someone approaches you and you get a bit of do you know what I mean? And he approached me and I was like, oh. That's how it felt. And then our conversation was like, oh, it just got better and better. I should have taken his number or something, but
In that situation, you don't think to though, do you? You're just like, well, this is...
Also, as an 18-year-old, I was thinking about getting home.
This night took a turn, a good turn, but
No, but very grateful to have met him. He was wonderful, and he sticks in my heart and mind.
Yeah. And I feel like you said that you would do that for other people, and maybe you would have done that for other people anyway, but to have that at 18, when you're still growing, to know that a stranger will do that for someone, then implants that idea in your head, if it wasn't there already, that as a stranger you can do that for someone.
I do that now so frequently. And there's a few pubs in my area. There's always someone a bit too drunk, do you know what I mean? And I'll be like, are you okay to get home? Sometimes they aren't. I'll offer an Uber. But I guess it all stems from kind of what you're saying. When someone does a kindness like that to you, you kind of realize what's possible and also how much it meant to you, and therefore the kind of impact it can have on another human being. And so I just feel like that made me feel more inclined to do that with other people. And, I have been doing that ever since. So he planted the seed.
It spreads.
Something happened the other day. I got off the bus and I have a little wallet with my cards, and because women's pockets don't have very good pockets, it came out, and I was just walking along and this guy literally ran after me. So it was about 50 meters from the bus stop. So he was shouting at me. I had my headphones in, I didn't hear him, and he like tapped after me, and he was all sweaty, and he was like, your card. So I was like, oh, okay. Literally all of my cards in there, credit card, and I was just about to go on holiday with my mum, so that would have completely ruined my day. I was really, really grateful for that.
And can you tell me another moment of kindness?
This is going to go back to our conversation that we had earlier about the definition of kindness.
I'm jumping in here to say that this is a story about someone who we're not going to name, as it might not be fair on her. So she'll just be she throughout.
So I was having a conversation with my therapist about my childhood and about an argument specifically.
And Kenny decided he wanted to chat now with that person he'd had the childhood argument with.
Because I wanted her opinion of how she felt about the situation.
So he goes to this person and he says, hey.
I've spoken to my therapist about this. I wanted your perspective because I don't want it to be just warped in how I felt about the situation. Like, how did you feel about the situation? And she just straight up told me, you were being a brat. Just straight up. She just no sugarcoating it, just boof. I just sat there like, do you know what? I don't think you're actually wrong. But I say this to say, and why did I say that that's the kindness is because I'm in therapy, trying to work through some things, and essentially having your honest opinion about some of my behaviors is good for my self-growth. And so she knew in that moment that telling me the truth of how she felt was a benefit to me and was a kindness. Because she could have just done what I guess some people might do, which is lie or sugarcoat it and be like, oh no, it wasn't that bad, or dismiss it or push it aside. She was like, no, you're a brat. You got on my nerves. I said, you know what? I'm really sorry about that. And she's like, well, you apologized at the time and I'm over it, but thank you for the apology again. But I think that the reason I see that as a kindness is because for me, one of the things that are really important to me in my life is growth. And so her telling me the truth and just giving it to me how it is and being honest allowed me to then go back to my therapist and have that conversation about growth. Had she not done that, then I would think that that behavior was okay. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so again, it's not traditionally how we would see kindness because it's not equated to niceness, so to speak. But she did that. She told me that response knowing that that was going to help what I wanted to achieve in my life. And so therefore I see that as kindness.
Yeah, that the truth, I think, is underestimated as kindness. Like, obviously, people need to take into account how to necessarily deliver that truth if someone's not expecting it.
Not brutal, like not brutally honest. Do you know what I mean?
But I really do feel like it, because like you say, you can't grow if you don't know how a behaviour is coming across or affecting someone. Are you open to sharing what it was that you'd done?
In less details, essentially, it's kind of sad, if I'm being honest. It was about a situation where essentially I tried to take my own life. And I was really suffering with gender dysphoria. And I wasn't thinking about how my choices and how I was feeling was affecting everybody else. And I'd never really seen it from that perspective. So she wasn't saying, she was obviously really kind and acknowledging the fact that like she understood how I felt and how bad my dysphoria was and all of those things. But she was like, there were moments that you were being a brat. Like you were using the fact that, you were having a shit time to be shit to others. And that's not okay.
Yeah. And
that's why I said, like, do you know what? I fully get it because you're right. Like at the end of the day, just because I'm feeling all of these sad things doesn't mean I need to push off that harm onto other people. And so she just turned around. She was like, you're just being a bit of a brat. Like I understand that what you was dealing with is really hard, but you can't go off and treat others like that. You need to be kinder to other people. Like you need to be considerate because you're getting upset and wanting to take your own life and, or just talking about it. And then other people are getting upset and they're trying to think how they can take care for you. And also they're changing their whole lives around you now to fit you. And so, yeah, it was quite a difficult conversation. And it was essentially when I went back to therapy, it was about understanding that how can you minimize harm to others? Like if you're in a bad headspace, you don't want to push that harm onto other people. And how can you do that? Like you got to kind of like self-implode and not allow it to always spread onto others. And how do you do that in a way that, because I just don't want to take up much space from everybody else. Like I think it's always good to have people that you can be honest with and have conversations with and say, listen, I'm really struggling. But ultimately, I'd never want it to get to a point where like somebody around me is so concerned to my mental health that they are changing their life to fit my needs. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It does make sense. I think it's because I've experienced it from different angles as well. So, but it's that making sure that person still knows they can ask you for help, that you are there. You do not want them to keep it inside. Like you want them to tell you, because if they don't tell you, then you can't help. And that's even more terrifying if you're watching someone go through that.
100%.
So it's that balance of like you said, it's not an excuse to be shit to other people. So I completely understand what you mean, but it is that when you said self-implode, it's like, but also reach out. Because I think, my mum was wanted to take her own life when I was a teenager. And even though it really affected me that she came to me and she told me that, I would rather a million times over that she shared that and that she didn't do it than she felt like it would worry me too much to share it with me. But yeah, I do completely agree that like I feel like the truth is a kindness, and also like it's to have that conversation, that openness is like it's so necessary. Things change.
Lots has changed. I think at that point as well, it was, I had got to the point where I kind of needed to understand how to emotionally regulate myself. I think that's what it was as well. I was needed to learn certain life skills to kind of like cope. Do you know what I mean? You get to a point in life where, let's be honest, you lose your innocence and things just become a lot harder and you realize what life can be. And that's kind of the point that I was getting to. Do you know what I mean? I was having a lot of people bully me for being trans. I was seeing really dark parts of the world and people, and I was just really suffering with that. And rather than trying to understand and accept that, I was just going off and taking it out. Sometimes, unfortunately, closest people to in your life, because that's how it works sometimes. And I felt it was a really honest conversation. I'm grateful, because I think we all have an argument once in a while that we say, I wish I didn't say that. Do you know what I mean? I wish I didn't do that. Yeah. I'm really grateful that she was so supportive, but I'm really grateful that she was actually really honest as well. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, those are conversations that are, extremely difficult to have. And sometimes your heart clenches because you're like, oh, like, I was a bit of a shit person, like not nice. But that's how you grow. That's how you go. Do you know what I mean? I've never tried to proclaim to be someone who's perfect. None of us are, and I'm never gonna be. Okay. But every day I wake up saying I want to be a better version than who I was yesterday.
Yeah. And so I wondered, kind of on that note, what's the kindest thing you've ever done for yourself?
Ooh. Good question. Transitioned. Specifically top surgery, I'd say. But now testosterone as well, to be honest, both of them. But that was a gift of life to myself, because I don't think I would be here without those two things. And so, yeah, and it was a lot of advocating for myself in the medical field, proving to doctors that I am indeed trans. My mum belling up doctors at 9 o'clock in the morning saying, when is my son going to get his appointment? Do you know what I mean? It was a big fight to get here, to get to a point where I'm confident in who I am and comfortable in who I am. And yeah, I think as much as I've had so much support, and that's honestly been a massive part of like how I'm here today, because without that I wouldn't. But I also think I need to pay respect to myself for every time I got knocked down being like, nope, we're getting back up, we go again. You know what I mean? And just not giving up, because there were many times in my life where I really did want to. There were many a times where I thought in my life it would be easier not to be trans. And I said, well, I'm going to be who I am, and this is who I am. And regardless of the fight that I have to put up to become this version of me, I'm going to do it. Yeah. And, there'd be many a times where I'd go home and mum would be on the sofa and I'd be crying and I'd be like, Mum, today was really hard. And she'd be like, okay, fuck them. Yeah. They're dickheads. Ignore them. Do you know what I mean? And then I'd go to bed, I'd wake up and I'd say, okay, well, we go again. And, that was a constant choosing of me. Yeah. Yeah. For many years, to get to a point now where the same things are probably said to me and I just go, oh, that's nice. And I just don't even really think about it. Yeah. So growth. Yeah. Growth as well, lots of growth.
Yeah. You've chosen yourself over and over, and that is an incredible thing, because I don't think that many people in the world are that honest with themselves or remember that they can choose to be who they really are.
I think even if you take it out of the context of transitioning and you just think about like going after what you want in life, you know,
exactly.
there's going to be many situations where you're consistently coming up against a brick wall, and it's easier to quit or to settle for a lesser version of what you want. And actually, you know, respecting yourself and choosing yourself is going, this is hard. I'm getting really annoyed. I'm tired. I feel beaten down. I hate this, but I'm not giving up.
Yeah.
And going to bed. I see sleep as a restart. Do you know what I mean? So when I go to bed, I'm like, okay, cool, but restart, we wake up, we go again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I don't know why that's helped me like cope. Weirdly enough, I sit there and I think to myself, what would we be like if we didn't sleep? It would just be constant. Like, that's terrifying. So I really respect sleep from that, for that perspective. But yeah, I think I wake up every day and I'm like, okay, we go again. And some days are hard and some days are really wonderful and life just flows.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate those days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the hard days, you're like, oh God, get me into bed, you know? And that's just life.
Yeah.
That's just, you know, I've just really like respected that yin and yang about life. And even with my transition, same thing. Sometimes I have days where I feel really confident. I love who I am. I love my transness. I'm so proud of who I am. And some days I want to shy away from the world because I wake up to, 100 DMs from people being nasty, and saying, you're a woman, you're this, you're that, whatever nonsense they want to come up with today. And that's a hard day sometimes, you know what I mean? And I think one of the skills that really helped me is kind of like learning to emotionally detach from things that harm you. Lots of therapy to get to this point.
Yes.
But yeah, I think, I think accepting life, just radical acceptance and just trying to show up for you and don't give up, honestly. Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? You have so much to look forward to. Do you know what I mean? And you're just gonna stop that from happening because you've had a bad day. No. Absolutely, get back up, So if you needed encouragement, get back up. But yeah, I've gone on a little bit of a tangent there. But
I liked the tangent.
Yeah? Okay, good.
Yeah,
okay.
Gorgeous. Well, Kenny, thank you so much for coming and chatting and sharing your stories. It means so much to me and it was so gorgeous to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Hey, hold on. I'll stay here till it goes.
Thank you so much for listening. Your presence here and your support means so much to me. This episode is dedicated to all those people who were there for us, even when we weren't being the greatest. Maybe share the episode with one of those people in your life, or someone else who might love it. I would also love to hear a story from you about a time someone was kind to you. So send that in at kindpodcast.com or email me, holly@kindpodcast.com, and I will feature some of the stories on the show. If you like the show, hit subscribe to the channel. It helps me a lot. It was great to spend time with you. Speak soon.